Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at the Astell Kern SE300 digital audio player. So this is a relatively recent audio player that Astell Kern released. Not the newest. I think the newest is the SP3000M. But this came out last year, 2023, and already it's on heavy discount, probably because of the SP3000M. So yeah, it retails for $1,900 US. I got it for $900. So quite a big discount. Yeah, I think it's because the SP3000M has a similar form factor, I guess. So they really cut the prices down on this a lot. And I figured, you know, I wanted to check it out because this is actually their first R2R DAC. They've implemented in a DAP. So a little bit of background first before I jump into things. So Astell Kern is basically the high-end audio brand in South Korea. They originally came from the iRiver. They're actually subsidiary of iRiver. iRiver is they're a electronics company that goes back all the way to 90s, I think. They made some like pretty popular MP3 players in the 2000s. I remember they made some iRiver stuff. I remember seeing them. But yeah, nowadays you don't see too much iRiver stuff, but they do own Astell Kern, which is kind of their high-end audiophile premium brand that they market under. And they've been making digital audio players since, what, 2014, I think? So about 10 years now. And yeah, this is what we got now, the SE300, which is part of their AN Futura line, kind of their mid-range tier of DAPs. DAPs means digital audio players. I'm going to refer to it as a DAP from now on. So it's a mid-tier DAP, and they often introduce like technologies on their highest end tier, which is the AN Ultima line, but then it kind of trickles down into the AN Futura line as well. They tend to experiment a lot with the AN Futura line as well. And I've also owned several Astell Kern products. I've actually owned their lowest tier line, which is the AN Norma line, the SR15. I've also owned the AN Futura SE100 as well. So I was curious about the SE300 though, because yeah, they use a different kind of DAC in this one. So most DACs, or digital audio converters, are going to be Delta Sigma. So Delta Sigma DACs are the ones you usually find on electronics these days, usually using ESS Sabre or Asahi Kasei or AKM DACs, sometimes Cirrus Logic as well. But those are the vast majority of DACs you find these days. This one uses an in-house implemented R2R DAC. R2R is a resistor ladder design. And I'm not going to get too deep into that. You can do just look online about exactly how they're different, but basically they're different implementations and designs of different DACs. Some people say that R2R DACs or resistor ladder DACs sound more analog and they sound more faithful to the original recording and the original signal that before it's converted and everything. And compared to the Delta Sigma DACs, and usually Delta Sigma DACs actually measure better, but R2R DACs sound more natural and analog. Anyways, that may be generalizing, but that's what some people online say. But anyways, you cannot disagree that the R2R DACs actually take more time to implement though, because the design of R2R DACs is usually done in-house. So the engineers all have to find resistors that have very tight tolerances, because they have to exactly match each other, and I believe there's 96 of them in this DAP. So they have to find exactly, you know, matching resistors and then have them like be incorporated inside this design. So it does take more manpower, let's say, to implement an R2R DAC than just taking off-the-shelf design like an ESS Sabre DAC and implementing that. So yeah, part of the reason why the price is higher on this one. You can go with the rest of the specs here. That's the main part of it is the DAC difference for the SE300. It's that it uses R2R, and it's Astell Kern's very first R2R implementation. So display is a 5.46-inch HD display. Nothing too special there. I mean, it's a DAP, doesn't need to have the best display. So the interesting thing is the power differences. There's actually a normal and a high setting, and I'm just going to talk about the unbalanced versus balanced. So yeah, for audiophiles, some of us may care about the balanced output because you can just swap out the cables for some of our headphones and put in balanced cables. And some people say the balanced output leads to a lower noise and more blacker background. But for me, the main difference I noticed with balanced is that it gives more power. So this is no exception. On the unbalanced is 3 VRMS. I'm talking about the high setting. Unbalanced is 3 VMRS on high, which is about 280 milliwatts, I think. I don't like that Astell Kern uses VRMS. I prefer using milliwatts because that's what other DAP manufacturers use. But yeah, I think the unbalanced is about 280, and the balance is about 1,200 milliwatts. So that's pretty good. 1,200 is near, like, that's a desktop level performance, right? Like a desktop headphone amplifier gives that sort of performance. So that's pretty good. And all the other stuff that you expect from a top-end Astell Kern type device. So yeah, all the signal noise is 115 decibels on the high gain balanced, and the THD plus N is a 0.006% at 1 kilohertz on the balanced. And yeah, anyways, they have a custom also oscillator as well. That's all the stuff you can find on their website. But anyways, what I want to know is how does this perform, and also want to compare it to my current DAP, which is the Hiby RS6. So I've owned this DAP for already 2 years now, over 2 years now actually. So the Hiby RS6 is one of the first R2R DAPs to come on the market, and I remember being pretty excited for this one because there wasn't too many R2R DAPs on the market at that time. This one being one of the first to kind of implement the R2R DAC design in a DAP. So we'll make that clear. So when Hiby released the RS6, I think this was in 2022? Yeah, at that time there wasn't too many digital audio players on the market with an R2R DAC in it. This was one of the few. And yeah, they have custom implemented their own resistor ladder DAC inside of it. It's called the Darwin architecture. And then this was like $1,400 brand new when it came out. And I've been using this ever since. It's I really like it, and especially the fact it's got so many outputs. It's got balanced and unbalanced output, but both line out, and line out does not use the headphone amp that's built inside, and then you have the one that actually uses the headphone amp, of course. So yeah, a line level and then a non-line level. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so anyways, I wanted to compare these two really because I've had this R2R DAP for a long time. I should say a DAP with an R2R DAC design in it for a long time, the Hiby RS6. I'm just curious to see how the Astell Kern compares. Technically, the Astell Kern is higher end. It retails for more. It's a more recent design. But since they're both in-house designs, right, I'm curious to compare. So yeah, the Hiby RS6 is Darwin architecture versus the Astell Kern's custom R2R DAC design. Wonder how they compare. So yeah, Qualcomm aptX HD has support for that. Also LDAC, that's Sony's codec, has support for both. So you don't have to choose between one or the other. Yeah, let's open it up, unbox it, see what we get. So again, originally retailed for $1,900 US, which is quite a bit. I would definitely not have paid that retail price. I don't think Astell Kern's prices are really worth it. I generally wait for them to be discounted. All right, and this is what it looks like. I think this definitely looks quite a bit bigger actually than my RS6 does. It looks like a giant slab, and I think that's what Astell Kern's design usually is. And going from their SE100, I can see that they kept pretty much the same design as the, like, similar design aesthetic to their other products. Astell Kern usually just goes with this very sharp, blocky design, which they use on all their products, and this is no exception. I remember the SE100, I needed to buy a case for it because it actually hurt my hand. Like, the corners were so sharp, it dug into my hand. There might be an issue on this one as well. This looks like pretty much just a block of aluminum. Okay, let's see what else we get here. All right. So yeah, we get... we get a micro SD card slot cover. That's nice of them, I guess. This is just something to fill in the SD card slot when you're not using it, so you don't get like dust or something inside of it. So it's nice that they include that. They also give you standard USB-C to, what's the other end here? USB-C. Okay, yeah. Standard USB-C to USB-C cable. That's what you would expect. And it's Astell Kern branded too, so it's a nice touch. And not some generic one, it's actually branded Astell Kern. Okay, and then you get the quick start guide, I'm guessing. Oh, it's here. Okay, here we go. Limited warranty. And quick start guide right here. SE300. Dreamus. Oh, okay. Dreamus is actually the company that owns Astell Kern, I guess. Oh man, you got a bunch of screen. Why did they give you so many? Wow. 3 screen protectors. Wow. I didn't expect you, not just 1, but 3 screen protectors. That's quite a bit. Overkill, actually. Okay, and then you get the quick start guide. Oh, actually, sorry, more than 3. 4. 4 screen protectors. That's a bit overkill. Okay. That's a lot of screen protectors. Quick start guide right here. The SE300. I think it's pretty straightforward to operate a digital audio player. It's just like a phone, right? You got the warranty card here. That's a lot of screen protectors that they give you though. Okay. Okay, now let's take a look at the player. That was it in the box. Okay, yeah, definitely sharp corners again. What the heck, Astell Kern. I think they might do this, you know what? Part of the reason they might do this design, I mean, sure, they say it is to look like, you know, like a modern piece of art and stuff, but it's definitely gonna dig into your hand. Just like with the SE100, it's gonna dig into your hand and kind of hurt your hand here. And that way, Astell Kern wants you to force you to buy their leather cases, which also cost like another 80 to 100 bucks. Like, come on, they don't include a leather case. By the way, Hiby did include a leather case with their RS6, which is well appreciated. And their corners aren't even as sharp. Look how Hiby rounds off the bottom, right? Hiby rounds off the bottom because they care about your palms. They don't want you to hurt your palms, so they round it off right down here. That's good design. Astell Kern doesn't even bother to do that. They just like keep the bottom corner sharp so it digs into your hand when you're using it. So it's kind of uncomfortable to hold it because it kind of digs into your hand. And they actually, I think it's a way to force you to buy their leather cases. But anyways, yep, just from the appearance wise, it's actually weighs roughly the same as the RS6, but it is bigger. So you can see how big it is. Like thickness wise, yeah, the SE300 is thicker than the RS6 is, and definitely you know, a bit longer as well. So it's longer, a bit thicker. Weighs roughly about the same though. Ports wise, yeah, what I like about the Hiby RS6 is that it gives you these line out ports, not just the regular balanced and unbalanced. They also give you line out ports as well. So you get the 3.5 and 4.4, but you also get the line out versions as well. And that's something that the RS6 has that is not in a lot of other DAPs, honestly. So the SE100, they give you the 3.5, they give you the 4.4, they also give you the 2.5, by the way, which is, they kind of have to do this because Astell Kern has been on the 2.5 standard for a while since they begun, and now you guys can see the industry, I mean, those of you guys who pay attention to DAPs, the industry has shifted really to 4.4, the Pentacon connector. So Astell Kern, they couldn't really give up the 2.5 because they've been pushing it for such a long time, so they have to keep the 2.5 balanced standard and also give you the 4.4 balanced standard that everyone else is moving to. So anyways, they have to give you both now. They're kind of stuck doing that. And yeah, they basically created the 2.5 millimeter ecosystem because I think they were one of the biggest pushers for it. Sony was the biggest pusher for the 4.4, which now has been adopted because it's a more reliable connection than the 2.5. Yeah, I mean the 4.4 is just it's a more like sturdy connection because the connector type is just, it's bigger. So yeah, it's more sturdy that way. I think that's why that 2.5 didn't catch on as much. Anyways, power button right here, and then you have the this is going to be left track, play pause, and previous track right here, similar to my Hybys as well. So yeah, most DAPs have something like this on the side, and then you have the volume wheel on the side here. This is something that a lot of DAP makers pay attention to a lot, including Astell Kern. So you can see how much design they put into this. It's like the crown of a luxury watch, essentially. It's like a bigger version of that, right? You have a luxury watch, it's like the bigger version of the crown of it. And I believe this lights up as well. So anyways, you got a nice satisfying click when you use the volume wheel here. And again, this is another design difference between different DAPs, but Astell Kern chooses to have their volume wheel on the side, whereas Hiby has theirs on top right here. So just volume, it's just like this one, you do this, and then Astell Kern, if you're right-handed, you don't actually need to use your other hand. You can just adjust it like this. I mean, Hiby you can just use one-handed as well, but yeah, it's not going to be quite as accurate as using your other hand, I think. But yeah, Astell Kern, you just do it one-handed. I don't know. I'm not going to be biased towards either of these. It's just a design choice for different makers. Yeah, definitely you can tell like they put a lot of time into shaping this side of the design. I mean, this side looks pretty matte, right? The left side, but then the right side is like glossy and mirror-like finish. Anyways, the bottom here is just a USB-C and a micro SD slot. That's it. I think this one is already. It's already got a dummy card inserted. Okay. Yeah, it's already got this dummy card inserted, but yeah, USB-C and micro SD on the bottom. And then on the back you have just usually you just have a type of design on the back when it comes to Astell Kern products, and this one they went with yeah, this back that kind of shimmers a bit when you hold it up to the light. Also it tracks fingerprints like crazy. As you guys can see all my fingerprints already. It tracks fingerprints like crazy. This is the glossy back here, and yeah, made in Korea. So I don't know how well you guys can see that. It's super glossy, but it's it says made in Korea here, as you would expect at this price point. I think all Astell Kern products should be made in Korea, actually, even their lower end A and Norma line. But anyways, that's the exterior differences between the two. The SE300 is bigger than the Hiby RS6. It's also more expensive and has actually less ports, because this one has a line out ports and this one doesn't. Yeah, otherwise I also don't like the sharp edges of the SE300. That's an issue I had with their SE100 too, that they did not fix. They're going to continue using this blocky design that cuts into your palm when you try to hold it, and I don't really like that as much. But anyways, it is what it is. Yeah, so I'm going to boot this thing up and check it out, see if it's actually going to be an upgrade over my RS6 as well. I have no idea, because both of these use in-house DACs. So it's not like they use any kind of reference implementation DAC with the Delta Sigma. They're not looking at an ESS Sabre design or AKM design or Cirrus Logic design. Yeah, they are just implementing their DACs in-house. So I have no idea to compare until I listen to it. Right? Can't just go by the specs when it comes to R2R DACs as well, because usually R2R DACs don't measure the best, so you have to really just listen to it and compare that way. Anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to compare these two, the Hiby RS6 versus the Astell Kern SE300. Alright, stay tuned and I'll give you guys my impressions. Okay guys, before I give you guys my sound impressions, I want to talk about the UI. So the UI of the SE300 is a brand new UI that Astell Kern made called the Crimson UI. Supposedly it's a faster, more streamlined version compared to the previous UIs, and that's a good thing, because when I used the AKSR 15, the SE100 back in the past, the UI was the main reason why I decided to move on from those devices. It's not the sound quality, because I think the Astell Kern devices have good sound quality. It's just the UI of their devices in the past was just too slow, and that actually killed me. Like every time I was searching for a song, it would just take way too long to find it, and I couldn't stand their older UI. So hopefully this UI will be better. Right, it's supposed to be more streamlined and everything. Oh, by the way, when you turn it on, yeah, you do have this little red LED light glowing from under this crown here, and that's a really nice touch. I think that's a cool design to have this LED light. Unnecessary, but it's a cool design. But I don't know, I also feel like this thing gets hot. It's interesting. I haven't really been playing many songs on it, but it's getting hot, and that's something I didn't experience with the Hiby RS6, by the way. I never felt like the Hiby RS6 is getting hot, but yeah, the SE300 actually feels a bit hot in my hand when I use it. A bit uncomfortable, and that's in addition to these jagged edges that's hurting my palms every time. So it's definitely more of an uncomfortable player to hold compared to the RS6. So that's one thing I noticed. So yeah, let's get on with this UI here. It's actually, I just put in an SD card, so it's still scanning the music files. But yeah, it's definitely better than the UI they had in the past. I mean, yeah, the older UI was just way too slow and laggy, but this one actually This is the home screen, by the way. It's based on Android, but because Astell and Kern wants to have kind of a closed system, so they made this very custom skin UI on top of Android, and yeah, it's basically its own operating system. It's based on Android, but you can't really install like Android apps on it like easily. Anyways, like like no Google Play Store, no access to that. So anyways, it's essentially Astell and Kern's own operating system based on Android, and they only let you listen to music on it, by the way. So no support for video files, I don't think. But it's cool, like all these different thumbnails that you usually find on your songs is actually transformed into these CD covers on here instead. So that's pretty cool. When you click into it, then you actually see the album. So I think that's a cool interface, right? It actually reminds me of Apple iPod's cover flow back in the day. Right, except these are just like CD covers. It's cool. They transformed all your thumbnails into essentially CD covers. Let's see, like, oh yeah, this Audio Machine, right? Or this one is Etta James. Yeah, so then once you click on it, you see the whole list of songs here, as you would expect. And we play a song. Yeah, and then go here. I should be able to see the CD cover here. And then it'll tell you... First, there's a few different features of the SE300. So NOS mode. So NOS is a non-oversampling mode, and you can also change it to oversampling mode. So NOS or OS oversampling. Supposedly, NOS is the pure version, right? Because it's not doing anything to the original signal. But oversampling will add more filters and try to increase the resolution of the sound. Really depends on what you want. Yeah, oversampling will increase I guess artificially increase the resolution or whatever, but then some people don't like the digital interference and they want the original sound quality, then they switch to NOS. Then they get the original sound of the signal through the R2R circuit, I guess. So yeah, you can pull down from the top, just like on an Android phone, and you get these options, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It's a bit limited, but you still get these options, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, NOS versus OS. Amp, I'm going to go over this one a bit later. This is another feature that's on Astell and Kern added on the SE300. EQ, so you can adjust the EQ settings, normal or not, or actually this is whatever you set it to on the settings. Car mode, line out, gapless playback, wheel lock, and then you can go to settings right here. So let's see, yeah, you go to settings, yeah, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth codec. You can choose, LDAC is by default because that's actually the highest quality codec out of these, but then aptX HD, if you don't have support for LDAC, you probably want to use aptX HD. And then AAC and SBC only in last resort. You got AK Connect, which will, this will actually connect to your NAS devices, I think, and any kind of DLNA network servers and things like that. If you have music stored on network servers, I think you can connect to those. File drop, you can even use FTP here to like kind of remotely drag and drop files onto your AK, which is a nifty little feature. Rune ready, I don't use Rune on any devices, but yeah, you can switch between NOS and OS. Amp, talk about that later. Equalizer, yeah, so here's where you can adjust the equalizer here, and you can adjust your EQ and customize it, right? So I usually don't leave I usually don't touch it because I want to hear the original sound without me adjusting things. Gapless, line out, left and right balance, playback settings, replay gain, notification panel. You can rip CDs as well. So Astell Kern DAPs have always come with a CD ripper. So that's pretty cool extra feature there. USB mode. So that you can basically use DAC mode if you want. So if you can connect this to your computer, it's usually a digital connection. You can connect it to your computer, and then you can have it function as your external DAC, and then basically just use it as your computer DAC instead. So you can either use this device as a regular like file storage, where you can just drag and drop music files onto it, or you can just have it be used as your computer DAC instead. And I do that sometimes with the Hybys actually. If I want to have better sound coming out of my computer, because most computers don't have good built-in DACs. So if I want to have a better DAC, then use the one on your DAP. And this one's pretty high-end DAC inside of here, right? Then you just, you turn it to DAC input, and then your computer will use the Astell and Kern DAC instead. And then you would just use your headphones out through here. to listen to whatever's on your computer. SPDIF conversion, you can do that as well. So I think this actually takes in using a, yeah, I guess it actually taking a SPDIF connection too, which is cool. Haven't done that before. Car mode, when you're inside a car, yeah, suitable for driving. Volume limit, screen brightness, LED indicator, and this is all the other stuff for system stuff. So yeah, that's it for the settings. And again, back to the main playback screen. So NOS versus OS, that's the non-oversampling versus oversampling mode. 16-bit tells you the bit rate of the audio file, and then the resolution. In this case, the CD quality 44.1 kilohertz, and FLAC is the file format here. And yeah, let's see. You can see lyrics if there are lyrics, and there's no lyrics right there. And then here you can see go to playlist, go to album, go to artist, go to folder, file info. You can favorite it. You can turn on shuffle, or shuffle once and repeat. Actually, this will be shuffling. This is repeat. Yeah, this is shuffling. You can turn shuffling on and off. You can repeat once. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the interface. It just looks like an Android music player, but this is Hiby's music player they built into the device. So yeah, and of course the media controls here all should work. This is play and pause. This is going to the previous track, actually. Yeah, this is the previous track. This one is the next track. Yeah. So previous track, play, pause, and next track. That's what those three do. And then you have Android controls down here. People should be familiar with that. This one goes to services. That's what this button here does. So by default, you have VLink and Tidal installed. That's a streaming service. You can also download more. So I think Astell Kern recently added more of this because people are looking for, you know, they can't download the apps from Google Store here. So they're asking Astell Kern for more support for third-party services. So they have other third-party services added here: RuneArc, Tidal, Spotify, Amazon Music, Move, Qobuz, Deezer, Flow, Apple Music. Oh, it even supports Apple Music. Didn't know that. KKBox, AWA, Yandex, Bugs, Melon, and yeah, that's those are the things that's supported here. So I don't really listen to many streaming services, so I don't really need any of those. I tend to listen to my music files just on the device. So yeah, anyways, this is a much better interface than their previous Astell Kern devices, although I have to say it's still slower than my Hiby RS6. You want to see how fast my Hiby RS6 is? Basically, this is it. This is how fast it is. First of all, the Hiby RS6 is a full-blown Android, so it lets you just install any Android app, has access to the Google Play Store and everything. Yeah, so you can go to the Play Store to install any app you want, and this is useful because, say, I have a home theater system, right? And that's why I have HEOS, I have MusicCast, because these are what my streamer uses, right? I have a Yamaha streamer and I have a Marantz receiver, and they have HEOS and MusicCast, so those are the apps I have to download and install on this thing. If you use the Astell Kern, you can't do that at all because it doesn't let you install those other apps. So on the Hiby, I can do that. I can also download YouTube and VLC, so I can watch videos if I want, and you know, using the high quality DAC and circuit within. You can't do that on the Astell Kern because it's closed. But the default music app, Hiby Music, is pretty fast and easy to use, right? You have everything here, you can scan. You have an equalizer here, everything that you just saw with the Astell Kern, the settings you can also do on the Hiby as well. So yeah, the Hiby app, generally I'm pretty used to this app, but this is what the app interface looks like, and you guys can compare it with the interface here. Yeah, this is the comparison, right? Again, this feels really hot in the hand. I'm not even playing music right now. It feels hot in the hand. The Hiby does not feel hot at all. I'm not sure why this one feels hot. But yeah, yeah, different kind of music interfaces. But I will say that the Hiby is definitely faster. I just feel like even though this Crimson UI is faster than their older UIs, it's still a bit of lag. I feel like yeah, see, there's just a little second of lag there that I don't get with the Hibys. So here's the main menu here on the SE300. Room ready, AK file drop services I can connect right there. Equalizer, amp, NOS, time settings. So let's take a look at the amp. We'll talk about this. So you can do high gain or normal gain. So Normal gain, maybe that's why it's running hotter, is because it was in high gain. And then Class A, maybe that's why I was running a bit hot, because yeah, Class A is more inefficient. But yeah, normal and high here, that'll tell you gain settings. Usually I would put it on high, well, because I want to get more out of this device. So I want to get more power out of this device. I usually leave it in high. Now, Class AB versus Class A is interesting because these are different amp types. And if you look online, it's hard to really like say it's hard to pin down the exact differences. I'm just going to say that people say online that Class AB generally sounds more dynamic. So it sounds like, things just sound livelier, give you a more dynamic presentation. Whereas Class A sounds more warmer and organic and natural. Out of these two, Class A is the one that's going to be more inefficient, but it's also going to be, like, according to many audiophiles, I guess, the purer sound. So people say for the best sound quality, the most pure sound quality, use Class A. But Class A also is inefficient. It'll take up the most battery life as well. But if you switch to Class AB, it's more efficient. It'll take up less battery life. And you'll hear more dynamics. It's more livelier and exciting, but it won't sound as warm or analog or natural as Class A. So I'm just going based on what people have generally said online. I know it depends on person, right? Everyone's subjective hearing, but Class A in general, this is going to sound warmer, organic, and more natural, and it will take up more battery life. It's more inefficient. Class AB, more efficient, it's better on battery life, so use this more when you're traveling, I guess. Use Class A more at home, maybe use Class A B more more on the go. But yeah, in general, more dynamic, lively, exciting sounding, but not as natural or organic as Class A. So anyways, that's in general the differences between these two. It's cool that the SE300 has this, that my RS6 does not have that. So yeah, this has two modes, high and normal for the gain, and also has Class A and Class B selectable amp types, something that my Hiby RS6 does not have. So that's cool that Astell Kern has it. So when I do the sound comparison test, I'm going to be using both Class A and Class B to show you guys the difference between those. And yeah, otherwise I just feel like the interface is still, a little bit laggy. See, I hit that and then it takes this long to get to the settings. See, I hit the settings button. It takes this long to get to the settings button. You see that lag here? That's something that doesn't exist on my Hiby RS6. If I want to get to the settings, I go up, swipe, settings, bam, it's there. See how fast that was? So yeah, and I can adjust all the things here, like here's the Darwin controller. So this is Hiby's own R2R implementation, right? It's called the Darwin architecture. So I can adjust the dynamic range, low pass, anti-aliasing, DSD filter. I can also adjust the NOS versus OS thing here too as well. You can do that on both. Atmosphere enhanced, that adds a little bit more surround quality, I guess. So I have that. I can also change the gain as well. So this does actually have gain settings, low, medium, and high. I have this set to medium. So yeah, that's something that they both have, different gain settings, but this one does not have the Class A versus Class AB setting that the AK has. And yeah, you can change even stuff like the color, the overall temperature, bass extension, bass texture, note thickness, voice, female overtones, sibilance. You can adjust all that on the Hiby RS6. You cannot do that on the AK. Yeah, so there is a bunch of stuff you can do on the RS6, and I really still do love my RS6. I mean, yeah, see how fast that is, right? Music player is so fast. Go to settings, so fast, right? And plus additional to the fact that I can just download any app from Google and use it here. Astell Kern. Yep, you're not allowed to download any app, just the ones that Astell Kern lets you to do. And things are a little bit sluggish. See how long it takes to get to the settings. Have to wait. Go back. Exit that. Oh, press it again. There we go. And if I want to switch to actually the different modes here, yeah, so this is the different modes, songs, album. You can filter it by songs, album, artist, genre, playlists, folder, and favorites, and also MQS files. You have MQS DSD files. If you have DSD files, you can filter it by that too. CD library, where that you've ripped. So there's the different things you can filter in by. But yeah, it's still a little bit laggy. I mean, it's definitely better than the previous UI, but still feels a little bit laggy compared to the Hiby RS6. which is kind of a shame. I mean, the Hiby RS6 debuted in 2022. This is actually newer, 2023. And it's more expensive. So I don't know, I expect a better UI than this, right? Yeah, it just still takes some time, see? Yeah, I don't have any of that lag on the RS6. Just goes immediately, and I can do the same thing: artist, genre, album artist, private cloud, playlist, title, Hiby Link controller. So, yep. Anyways, pretty fast on here. It's just really fast actually. I feel like this is still sluggish when I use it. So I don't know. But the UI is still kind of a mixed bag for me. Yes, it is better than their previous UI. It's I like the CD interface right here. So it's definitely faster, but it's still kind of sluggish compared to the Hiby RS6's Android UI, you know? Yeah, still kind of sluggish. So I don't know. You still gotta wait like, you know, a few milliseconds, but it's noticeable, right? Especially if you go to the settings, that you gotta wait. Yeah. Anyways, just from a UI perspective, not even taking, I'm not talking about the sound quality yet, but just talking about from a UI perspective, I still prefer the Hiby RS6 for being able to install any app from the Google Play Store and just being more responsive. Still, there's a little bit of lag on this Crimson UI. Not quite as responsive, and you can only use the apps that Astell Kern wants you to use. So yeah, can't do Musicast, can't do HEOS, can't do YouTube, can't do VLC, any of that. I can only use the apps that they want you to use, which is like just this list of apps right here. So you're just limited to this list. That's it. So a bit more limiting. Of course, this one does have a feature that the Hiby does not have, which is the amp, right? Class A versus Class AB. So that's cool. But of course, if you use Class A, it actually also gets warm in your hand as well when you do it. Even when you're not playing music, it'll get warm. So that's another thing. And plus the fact that this is less comfortable to hold. The Hiby RS6 is more comfortable to hold. It's just smaller, has the rounded corners. Yeah, this one is not as comfortable to hold for sure. Got the sharp edges and everything. But anyways, that's just talking about the UI. Now let's get down to the sound quality. So yeah, I'm going to give you guys my subjective listening impressions. My audiophile friend will also give you his impressions as well, and then I'll give you guys a sound comparison test. The R2R DAC inside of the SE300, both on Class A and Class AB mode versus the Darwin R2R DAC inside the Hiby RS6. So we'll compare R2R DACs, see what's the difference. So you guys can kind of hear the differences there. And yeah, I'll do the Class A and Class AB here. Both of them will be in OS mode, so you guys can hear the more pure version, I guess. So anyways, guys, stay tuned for that. Right, another example showing you the difference in responsiveness here of the two UIs. So from the Hiby RS6, all I had to do is, this is the home screen here, open up the app, and I'll search for something like New Jeans here. So type in New Jeans, right? Search for it, immediately find some results. I go to album, click on it, and then I play the song, go to the screen, it's there. See how fast that was? That's pretty fast. Responsive. Alright, do the same thing on the Astell Kern. Right now this is the home screen. So let's say I search for Neil Young. I know there's Neil Young on this device. So I go here, search, and then Neil. You guys can begin to see why this one's a little bit slower, right? Young, it's a little bit slower. Search. Wait a while, album, go here, and then play some music. Okay, so yeah, you guys can see it's not quite as fast, right? It's a little bit more laggy on this device to do the same thing. Alright, so now it's time for the subjective listening impressions, and I'll be using first my Hiby RS6 DAP. This is the DAP I've been using for over 2 years now, I'd say. So I'm pretty used to this one, and the R2R DAC inside of this one is the Darwin architecture, which Hiby has created. And yeah, I'm pretty used to this one, so I'll be listening to this one first, and then I'll be using the Astell Kern SE300 that I got. So yeah, we're going to do a comparison here. Actually, for the Astell Kern SE300, I actually need to listen twice with this one because, well, I need to listen 2 different times for each song because there's a Class A setting and a Class AB setting. For both of these, I'm going to be using the NOS mode. So NOS means that yeah, it's non-oversampling mode. So that's just to keep that factor the same between these two. It's just that the Astell Kern SE300 also has the ability to change the amp. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. And the headphones I'll be using is the HiFiMan Aria Stealth. I think this is currently my best selling headphone, and the headphone I like the most in terms of overall sound quality. So yeah, I'll be using the HiFiMan Aria Stealth to test both of these. This is the open back planar magnetic headphones. Alright, and I'm also used to the Aria Stealth because I've had this headphone for almost 2 years now. Okay, I'm going to be using the balanced jack for both of these as well. Because the HiFimans, yeah, especially the higher end HiFimans, they love lots of power. So, yeah, of course the balanced jack provides more power than the unbalanced. Alright, so I'm going to play a few of the same songs on each DAP, and then I'll tell you guys what I think of them. Alright, first up is the Hiby RS6. Okay. And I'll be switching now to the Astell Kern SE300. First, I'll actually use the Class AB, and then I'll switch to the Class A after. Alright. Okay, so I've done some listening tests on both of these DAPs. I think it's interesting. There's definitely a difference between these two. So, you know, people like who are not into audio as much might be wondering, you know, like, what's the difference? You know, can you actually hear a difference between DACs? Actually, I can. And it's interesting. Both of these are pretty expensive DAPs too. Like this is $1,400 when it came out 2 years ago, the Hiby RS6, and Astell Kern SE300 was $1,900 when it came out last year, 2023. So I think they're both very expensive DAPs, and they're both R2R resistor ladder architecture, but they're implemented differently because they're both in-house designs. So there's definitely a difference between the two. Now I wouldn't say the difference is like really large, but switching between the two, I can definitely hear a difference. So basically, the Hiby RS6, it sounds like warmer, and by warmer I mean like it's kind of that. Yeah, it's got like more of a warmer bass sound. So it sounds like when I'm listening to the same tracks, the bass just kind of. I'm saying this is a pretty good DAP, right, with a pretty good DAC inside of it. So there's nothing wrong with the DAC inside of it. It's just that when I'm comparing it to the SE300, that's when I can tell that the SE300 does have the better DAC. But only when I'm comparing it to like a higher end DAC like this. If I didn't like know this existed, then I would think that this is great. But it's only because I know that this exists and I listen to this, then I know that, oh, okay, this is actually not as good as this one. So it's like basically it's one of those things where if you're an audiophile, it's almost like ignorance is bliss, right? It's like if you don't want to hear something better, then it's better not to, because you can save your money that way. But the thing with audiophiles is we always want to listen to something better, right? And that's the problem, right? It's like ignorance is bliss. It's like, okay, this was good enough for me for a very long time, but now I hear this, and now there's a difference. Okay, this is very good for me. It's still very good. It's just that, yeah, it does sound warmer. The bass sounds like it bleeds into the mids more, but only when compared with this one. Like normally I would not think that with the Hiby RS6, but now that I compared it with this one, yeah, okay, I feel like, okay, the bass is like warmer on this, and it bleeds into the mids more. Also, yeah, it's just overall the notes when I listen to the Hiby RS6 DAC, yeah, it's more rolled off. It sounds more rolled off, and that's what I mean by it sounds more like warmer. It sounds more rolled off. So the Hiby RS6 is still very good. But when I listen to the Astell Kern SE300, that's when I can tell a difference here. The R2R DAC in this one is better. So it's better in the way that when I listen to the Class AB amp, now let's do a comparison. I listen to Class AB amp and the Class A amp, because you have both options on here. The Class AB amp, I can feel that the highs are a bit more snappier. So that's why I think people say that, oh, it sounds a little bit more dynamic. I think to me this is like the highs sound a little bit more snappier on the Class AB setting. However, the Class A setting sounds more warmer, and it's more like the Hiby RS6 in that sense, but you also get bigger soundstage and a better note separation and better imaging between the instruments when it comes to the SE300. So yeah, it's interesting. It's like on the Class AB setting, in the Class A setting, they're actually not that different. I think Class A does sound better, but it's like it's very subtle. It's like the Class A just sounds better in the sense that it sounds a bit more warmer and the highs get rolled off a bit more. Whereas the Class AB setting, the highs seem more snappier. I think that's the main difference I noticed is Class A, the higher notes get rolled off a little bit more, so I think it sounds a little bit more warmer and I guess to some people more natural and organic and analog, I guess. Class AB setting, the higher notes sound more sharper, but both of them, like both the Class A and the Class B, they have a wider soundstage and better note separation than the Hiby RS6. So that's when I noticed this is a difference, you know, between the DAC implementations of these two. And you know, that's actually not to be too surprised, because it's like this is a newer DAP. This costs more money than the RS6, so I would expect it to be better. That's actually the reason why I bought this, right? It's supposed to be better, right? And I just want to, you know, see myself. Oh, is there actually a difference between R2R DACs between these two? And there is a difference. Now, I'm not going to say it's a big difference, but it's definitely a difference when you listen to them side by side. So the Hiby RS6 Darwin R2R DAC is very good. To most people, you know, who are not audiophiles, this is, you know, way more than enough for them. Like, they're not going to be able to hear a difference. Like, this is a great DAC. Just when I compare it side to side with the Astell Kern SE300, that's when I notice there's a difference, right? The SE300, both the Class A and Class AB amp setting, and I'm listening on high gain as well, high gain setting on both of these actually. Yeah, the SE300, it just sounds like it's got a bigger sound stage. There's more note separation between the, just the highs, lows, and mids just have more separation between them, I guess. A blacker background is also what I notice. So it's, yeah, also it's just easier to determine the instruments. I guess that's what you would call imaging, right? So better imaging, separation of notes, clarity, and just overall soundstage width is more on the SE300. And between the Class A and AB setting, it's a bit more subtle, but I would say that the main difference there is the Class A setting, the higher notes sound more rounded off and rolled off, making it sound a little bit more natural and organic, whereas the Class AB setting, the higher notes sound more snappy. And sharper, I guess. So yeah, that's the main difference I notice. And again, it's only a difference I would notice when comparing these two side by side. If this didn't exist, I would think that this sounds great. And it still does sound great. It's just that when comparing it with this one, then there's a difference that I notice. So this one has a better note separation, wider soundstage, etc. But again, I would only notice that because I compared it side by side. Normally, I thought this was good. So anyways, that's my opinions of these two DAPs, the Hiby RS6 R2R DAC and the Astell Kern SE300 R2R DAC. The Astell Kern does sound better. Only when I'm comparing it side to side do I notice that, though. But yeah, overall, I mean, this is the better sounding DAC. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my sound impressions. I'm also going to ask my audiophile friend. He's got very sensitive hearing, probably more sensitive than mine, actually, and ask him to do give his impressions of these two as well. And then after that, I'll have a sound comparison test between these two, the Hiby RS6 DAC and the SE300 DAC, both on the Class A amp and the Class AB amp setting. So maybe you guys can tell a difference between the two. So yeah, that's it, guys. Stay tuned for my friend's impressions and then for the sound comparison test. As always, leave me any comments in the comment section below if you're curious about either of these two DAPs. And yeah, that's it. I'm glad I got this on a discount. I don't think I would pay the full price for it. But I do have to admit, yes, there is a difference, and this one does sound better than the Hiby RS6. So, So yeah, basically the TLDR between these two, the Hiby RS6 DAC versus the Astell Kern SE300 DAC on Class A mode. I would say that in terms of tonal temperature, they're both warm sounding. Like the Class A mode is warmer sounding than the Class AB mode. And the Hiby RS6 DAC is just naturally more warmer sounding, I guess. So in terms of tonal temperature and timbre, they're about the same, or similar, I should say, because they both have the rounded off highs. However, the difference comes in the soundstage width in the blacker background, and the note separation is better on the SE300, and that's what I noticed. Whereas I feel that the bass kind of bleeds into the mids a bit when I listen to this one, and it does not bleed into the mids on the SE300. So this one just has better separation. So it's overall it just feels more cleaner, more detailed, and yeah, it's only a difference again I would notice when I'm comparing side by side. But when I do compare them side by side, that's the difference I notice. So yeah, that's the TLDR between these two. Again, we're talking about small differences for audio quality, but these are the small differences that matter when it comes to audiophiles. So I mean, audiophiles pay a lot of money just to get these smaller incremental increase, right, in sound quality, and that's really what you get here, an incremental increase in sound quality. Like the Hiby RS6 DAC is a very good DAC, but it's just like the SE300 DAC is like, it's better by a marginal amount, but it's still noticeable. So anyways, that's my take after listening to these two side by side. Actually, it's been a pretty hard decision for me to decide which one I want to keep, because the Hiby RS6, even though, like I said, the SE300 sound quality is better, but I like the design of the Hiby RS6, like the exterior design, no sharp edges, right? Doesn't hurt my palm when I hold it. It's actually a little bit smaller, so you guys can see that it is definitely smaller, less chunky, so it's easier to hold in my hand, easier to grip. The UI is more responsive, and I can install other apps on it. So it has access to Google Play Store. Anything that's on Google Play I can install on the Hiby RS6. That includes like streaming apps from, for example, my Marantz has HEOS streaming, and my Yamaha has MusicCast streaming. Both of those are not allowed on the Astell Kern SE300. So if I want to use streaming apps like that, then I can install it on the Hiby. So it's just there's a convenience factor when I use it with the Hiby. But the SE300 has better sound quality. So then it's like, do I really, like, if sound quality is absolutely the most important, then yes, the SE300 would be the one to keep. But there's all these other things not related to sound quality, like the comfort and the UI responsiveness and being able to use other apps, then the Hiby's better. So I'm still deciding between these two. It's a tough choice, right? Do I choose, okay, sound quality over everything else? Or, yeah, just the user friendliness and being able to use other apps, and the smaller size, being easier to grip. Like, it's actually kind of a tough decision. I think, at the very least, if I were to use things at home, then maybe the SE300 could be kind of a replacement for like a desktop amplifier, or sometimes you see like those network streaming amplifiers, right, which are pretty expensive. The ones with like Ever Solo and Cambridge Audio makes NAD, like Nime, right? All these companies make these streaming amplifiers with like the nice fancy touch interfaces and stuff, and they're pretty expensive usually. This can be a kind of a replacement for those, because if you have this, then like it's like it has like AK Connect and stuff like that, so technically it can stream, and then you have Tidal and Spotify, everything else. So it can be kind of a replacement for those amplifiers, even though it's not quite as powerful as them. And then at home, right, you don't have like the other issues I mentioned, is not quite as a big of a deal. Well, except for the streaming apps is still an issue if it doesn't have access to all the streaming apps. But I would say like at home, this can almost be a replacement for one of those desktop streaming amplifiers, or home streaming amplifiers rather. But then the Hiby RS6, maybe if I'm going outside and just listening to music, then this is better for use as a portable device because it's easier to hold. And well, I search for songs a lot, right? So it's got a more responsive interface. But then if you're buying a DAP, the main purpose should be on the go, right? Why would you be buying a DAP for home? You can just buy a home amplifier. So anyways, there's a lot of things to think about. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm just going to say this. yeah, AK SE300, just for pure sound quality, it is better. But again, it's a difference that you would only notice if you're comparing side to side, right? I think if I didn't know about the sound quality of this, then I would be fine with this one. And the Hiby RS6 is just overall, like, on the attributes that's not related to sound quality, I prefer it. The UI is more responsive, easier to grip, easier to hold, and I can use other apps with it. So, another thing to consider is that the Astell Kern SE300 has more power on tap than my Hiby RS6. The SE300, I believe, has around double the power on the unbalanced output and like 400 milliwatts more power on the balanced. So yeah, it's definitely more powerful than the RS6. So if I have high impedance headphones, then that's another thing to consider as well, right? Less sensitive headphones like planar magnetics and yeah, like Bayer Dynamics or high-end Sennheisers. Yeah, those are going to be definitely easier to drive on the Astell Kern. So that's another thing to consider as well. Anyways, yep, that's my decision here. I'm actually not sure which one to keep, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below if you had this decision, right? Would you be going with the Hiby RS6? That's got the more responsive UI, can install other apps, and it's easier to hold. Or would you go with the AK SE300, which it's got sharper edges, doesn't allow you to install apps that AK doesn't allow you to install, and the UI is definitely better than before, but still relatively, compared to the Hiby RS6, not as responsive. Takes longer to index files as well, I think, and yeah. But has better sound quality, but it's kind of like a marginal difference, So I don't know, which one would you guys choose? Let me know in the comment section below. So another difference is the Hiby RS6 does have the line outs here. So they have line outputs for both balanced and unbalanced, as well as the normal headphone outputs, whereas the Astell Kerns only have the headphone outputs. So that's another win in favor of the Hibys, just it's more versatile. So yeah, sometimes I'm testing external amplifiers and things like that, or yeah, just outputting to external amplifiers. I want to have the option of just going line out, right, bypassing the built-in headphone amp here. So yeah, it's a tough decision. I'm in a dilemma, right? Hiby RS6, just more features across the board, more responsive UI, easier to hold, or yeah, the better sound quality of the Astell Kern SE300. But yeah, let me know which ones you guys would pick in the comment section below. But yeah, stay tuned for the comparison test. With this Astell Kern one, there's an extra thing. So like for the amp, you can choose to use a Class A or a Class AB amp. You can actually switch between those two. Okay. So yeah, and generally speaking, Class A is going to sound more organic, natural, and warmer because it's a very low efficiency blend, but it lets all the power through. Class AB is not is more power efficient. I mean that you can look up online, like differences, but generally speaking, the Class A is going to be more. People consider Class A like the best for sound, but it also takes up the most power. So if you use Class A, it's going to drain more battery, but has the most natural organic sound and warm sound to it, almost like tubes. Then Class AB is going to be more like it's more dynamic and not quite as like I guess analog or warm sounding, but it's going to take up less battery life. So basically, you can switch between the two in this one.
Okay, cool. Oh man, they have the stupid sharp corner. Oh my god, that's so stupid.
Yeah, they always have this like sharp design.
So stupid. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that I can tell about a lot of Korean things is that they try to, on the outside, they try to pretend that, oh yeah, we're luxury and stuff, but actually a lot of times they don't put in that extra effort to really put in the proper design and the thought. They advertise it that, oh, Astell Kern is high end, but in actuality, the components aren't all there, like for actually well thought out design. Because this is just bad design. This is not acceptable. Like if it's a luxury product, this is unacceptable. These sharp edges, first of all, means it's easier work for them because you just machine cut it and they don't have to polish it anymore. Because machine cut is going to be sharp. But then when it's really luxury, after machine cutting, it's sharp. Then they polish the edges. They have to, but that's extra work. But then so this is just like not luxury design, but they pretend like it is. Like this is just retarded. Like there's gonna be no Japanese thing that's gonna be designed like this, right? Because Japan, they're OCD with their designs. They're gonna be like, this is a bug. This can't happen, in their designs. Like, what is this? It's hurting my hand when it's like holding like this.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
They put the design, all the stuff in the crown because they make the crown look good.
Yeah, exactly. They put in all these stupid. They advertise. It's like the TV, same thing. They'll say, "Oh, we have this feature, that feature," but when you put it together, the Japanese TVs have better picture quality when you're watching movies. It's as simple as that. How do I play it?
Yeah. So it's deck.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is on Class A. You can change the Class A, B later, but
A is good.
yeah, A is usually considered better sound quality. So.
It's not close. This Astell Kern is better.
It's better.
Yeah. Granted, as long as it's the same music file that I'm listening to, that's the thing. If it's the same music file, then yes, Astell Kern is better.
Okay. How's it better then?
Bigger sound stage by far. I think it sounds a little bit more like the sound. It sounded a bit congested in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, and then everything was smaller soundstage, and the sound was a little bit more congested. This one, everything sounds more opened up.
Okay.
A little bit more dynamic range. I think a little bit more detail everywhere. Mids are a bit more forward and less congested, and more soundstage. I think this one sounds better.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and this is a good match with this. Really good match.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm just like curious to hear your reasoning because this is a newer device and it's more expensive, so I would expect it to.
Okay.
This is a $1,900 device when it came out.
So I guess so I said it's not even close.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The only thing is, sound-wise, I don't think I actually had any issue with Astell Kern sound-wise. It's just the design of like you said, the sharp edge is one thing. That's external design.
And the price.
But then the UI is also a bit slower as well.
Okay.
So if you notice, the UI is a little bit like more laggy in this one as well. So I always preferred Hiby's UI because it's like more of an Android thing.
Okay.
It's a more native Android, and you can install other apps on this because it's fully Android, so you can just install whatever. Astell Kern doesn't let you install anything that they don't allow. So you can't just install anything from the Play Store there.
Does Hi-Fi Man make any R2R DAPs? DAPs right now?
They used to, but that was a while ago. They used to use this. Yeah, they used to have an R2R DAP. They were actually one of the first to have it back in the day.
This sounds pretty nice. I like it.
Yeah, but this is their first R2R DAC that they made, and it came out pretty recently.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I actually got it on a huge discount.
Oh, how much?
900.
US?
Yep, because originally it was 1900 though.
Right.
So
Oh.
I think they had to discount it fast because they came out with another new model that was actually a smaller version of their flagship player.
Oh.
Yeah, this is actually not their flagship; it's like kind of their mid.
So the other one's better than this one, the new one that came out.
Yeah, because the new one is it's their flagship models, is the SP3000M.
Okay.
So they shrunk it down and to make it kind of similar size to this one.
To
and
this
then,
one? Or to this one?
To this one. This,
Okay.
Yeah, and then they don't. I guess they don't need this one as much anymore, so they cut this slash the prices on this one. But this used to be their mid-size player, their mid range,
Okay.
and then their flagship player. They just slash the prices on.
Okay. How much is the flagship, the new one that came out?
Like over 2,300 or something like that.
It's expensive, man.
Yeah, but it's Astell Kern, so yeah. So I would never pay like the retail price for that.
Yeah.
But this was under like half price, so I figured I'd try it out. But I was curious to see because they're both R2R, but R2R can be implemented very differently depending on the maker.
What I'm curious
Because it's not off the shelf. Because it's not like you're taking a ESS Saber or something. It's their own design, right? They got to match the resistors and everything.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm also curious how it compares to your KN, because your KN it's a resistor ladder. It's not like it's not R2R, but it's a resistor ladder, right?
Yep.
So I'm curious how it compares to your RU7 as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and KN also has a player that they have an R2R player, but it's more expensive. So yeah, I'm not able to afford a KN.
Yeah, I wonder how the Canes compare to this. And I wonder how like the file M23 compares to this, because that's the flagship whatever DAC. The AKM.
Yeah, File doesn't do R2R though. They
Nope.
just take what is it? Is it AKM? The
AKM.
flagship AKM, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that might
Yeah,
be good.
but of course, like it depends. Like it's not like one's better or worse.
Yeah.
Like you take a flagship AKM, you said it's going to sound really good, it's measure well, and R2R is just another thing. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious how they compare. Yeah.
So how's it compared to your KN?
I don't remember. I need to have them side by side.
Okay.
But I think off of my head, this one sounds more reference. So the KN is actually a little bit more warmer, romantic sound.
Okay.
But to the point where it's still very tasteful.
Okay.
And so it's like a warm, romantic sound leaning towards reference, but you can tell it's still kind of warm and romantic, but in a good way. So it sounds kind of like an analog sound, but you can actually adjust it anyways. But this one sounds a bit more reference for an R2R. It doesn't sound like overly warm or anything. It just sounds kind of reference. If anything, this kind of sounds like an AKM chip. You know, sounds kind of AKM.
But AKM it's a bit warm, isn't it?
Yeah, but warm in like more of only warm within the very reference part, you know. But like say my KN actually it does sound just a little bit warm. It sounds just warm, you know, but not overly warm. Very tasteful warm. Yeah. This one sounds almost like a regular, like, you know, a regular flagship deck. That's not R2R or anything. Yeah, it's actually high end. Yeah, so it actually sounds quite good.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm curious. So you're trying. This was using the Class A, which is supposed to sound more natural and more organic. Just curious what you think Class AB. So I'm gonna switch to Class AB and check it again. So this is Class AB. Yeah.
It's pretty close, but I think Class A sounds a bit better.
Yeah.
Class A sounds a little bit more dynamic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a bit more dynamic.
They said Class AB actually should sound more dynamic.
No, I think it just sounds like bigger and fuller.
A should sound more warmer, actually.
A just sounds bigger and fuller.
Okay.
Yeah.
But usually you would use like AB if you care about the battery life, and then A is supposed to be like the better sounding one.
Yeah, so, I think A sounds better.
But yeah, cool.
Yeah, I like A. And then yeah, this sounds great. Sounds good. But it would be really interesting to compare this to like an M23. Yeah, because like M23, the actual MSRP is half this price. So if you can find it used, it'll be even cheaper for the M23. So that can probably be found for like $500 if it's used. And then so at half of this price, but flagship, you know, AKM chip, and it's got a lot of power. Yeah. So that'll be interesting comparison, because that's half the price and you don't have the sharp edges. Right. So. Well,
it's the UI is the thing that bugs me more. It's like this is. I mean, this is actually a newer UI by them.
Yeah.
Which is faster than before. Yeah. I think the one they had before was really laggy. You gotta wait a few seconds every time before you select something.
Yeah.
This one's better, but it's still like compared to the Hiby, it's still like the Hiby's still a bit more like, you know, responsive. So and I actually care about this a bit more because like I look for music tracks. You do searching for music tracks all the time. So UI is really important. Plus the ability to play stuff from the Play Store on the Hiby is really important, because like sometimes I might want to download another app. Like say I want to use like the HEOS streaming service, or I want to use MusicCast on my Yamaha. I got to download apps for that. Or if I want to watch YouTube, or use VLC for watching movies. I actually watch movies using this thing too. Right? So like I download other apps to do it. And I could do it on the Hiby. The Astell Kern you can't.
How come? Because it's not
open. They only allow you to use like the streaming, some streaming stuff, but it's not really like open, so they don't let you download from the Google Play Store.
Okay.
So that's a limitation.
I wonder if the files are better in that regard. I wonder if file is better in that regard. Like is file more open?
No, file's more open. They use Android. All the Chinese makers, they use like fully Android, so you can just do whatever. Yeah. But it's just Astell Kern wants to be closed off about it, because they're like, you can only use the apps we allow you to use, and you know, this is very Apple in that sense. They're actually a lot like Apple in that sense. So it's like they only allow you. Yeah. But yeah, you can keep listening here if you want.
No, I'm good. Yeah, this one sounds good.
Oh, you can play Spider-Man actually. Sure.
Yeah, it's just like I said, this one, it'll be interesting to compare it with stuff like the M23. Because now you're comparing it to another almost flagship DAC that's like, you know, half the price. That'll be interesting. And AKM chips are really nice too.
I haven't tried the AKM flagship. Actually, I'm curious.
Me too, I've never tried it.
It's a new one, AK4499EX, plus they add in the AK149 whatever.
Yeah,
it's a combination.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious, I never tried it.
Exactly. So AKM normally sound good, this is the new flagship chip. So that'll be interesting. It's half the price of this. Right. Yep. So yeah, and if it's more open, like an open source for you to do stuff.
Yeah, and this is already half the price of what it originally was.
Exactly. so like that, you can probably find the M23 for like $500 used. Right. So then it'll be interesting. To compare. That'll be very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and then and then if I wonder what other DAPs are good out there. I mean.
Yeah, channeling or iBasso.
Yeah, exactly.
KN, probably.
Yeah, KN. But KN will be nice, but then it's expensive.
KN's pretty expensive. It's hard to find KNs on sale too.
Yeah, KN stuff do sound nice. Like just from that dongle, I can tell that their high-end stuff should sound pretty nice.
So like from what I saw, Astell Kern stuff tends to get deeply discounted. Like even like you'll see in Japan, lots of Astell Kern stuff, like they get pretty deeply discounted. Yeah. But KN not so much. It's harder to actually find KN stuff on discount. Yeah, I haven't been able to find many. They're pretty expensive. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it'd be interesting. KN is actually, KN and Hiby are the same parent company. Oh, so Hiby tends to be a little bit lower to mid range, and KN's like mid to high range.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, the File 123, that would be very interesting to compare. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, File always makes good value stuff. So.
Yep. Of course, File has two DAPs, right? They have the M23, and then there's another one that uses the high-end Saber DAC.
Two flagships, you mean?
Yeah, they have two flagships.
Okay.
So yeah, one uses the high-end sabers, and the other one uses the high-end the high-end AKM. I did listen to the new highest level desktop DAC for file when I was in Tokyo when I was testing out.
Is that using AKM too?
No, that one was using the newest dual saber chips.
Okay.
It's the one that's really expensive, the new DAP. So it's like the upgrade model of their what was it, the K9?
It used to be the ESTO 9038 Pro. That was the flagship. ESS. So it's the newer one, right?
This is a newer upgrade model of their the KN flagship, the desktop DAC.
K9.
The K9, yeah, the K9. It's a newer one, so it's the one that costs double the money. So really expensive. That one sounded very nice. Very nice. It doesn't have the problems of the usual saber DACs. So it sounded very high end, very nice, but it's just super expensive. Yeah. And then, the AK. I wanted to try their AKM K9 Pro. They were gonna help me hook it up, but then it was kind of like faulty. Okay. So one sound wasn't like bringing up sound. So okay. Yeah, couldn't try that out fully. But yeah, but their AKM DAP, that'd be interesting. The M23.
Yeah. I don't think any of Fire stuff's actually too expensive. I think they're reasonably costed because you got to compare it to the other competitors.
Exactly.
So for what the sound quality offer, it's still like you look at the competitors, right? It's still way above their similar price range for competitors.
Yeah.
Like a Burson, for example, right? Like a Fire, like just a
Burson is expensive.
Yeah, a cheap Fire can still outperform Burson like 4 times the price. So yeah.
Like if you see here, actually it's not even US. A brand new File M23 is $1,000 Canadian.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's $1,000 Canadian. So imagine if it's used and you can buy for $500 Canadian. That's way cheaper than this actually, right? Because this is US $900, and then if that's if that's a $500-600 Canadian, because this is US $900, this is equivalent to like what, $1,000 Canadian. Yeah, so it's even more than half off.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also interested in Hiby's flagship. This is not their flagship. They're R8, RS8, which is actually their flagship. So that would be interesting as well.
Yeah.
That's also really expensive though.
you.